As we explore quantum body and beyond, how to live longer, healthier, etc., the question always comes up: what is the role of deep sleep or sleep in general for a healthier, longer life? But another question comes up, and this comes up from the yogis, is can understanding the dynamics of sleep, waking state of consciousness, dream state of consciousness, and pure consciousness, and their relationship to each other, can that be a window to, or a door to enlightenment, to liberation from suffering, to understanding fundamental reality, to the divine self, however you want to phrase it. So first look at the biology of sleep, etc. It's easy to understand biology because there's so much data on it. So let's look at the brain and how it produces different frequencies of electrical activity called brain waves, which can be measured by EEG or electroencephalography. The brain waves vary depending on our state of consciousness, from wakefulness to dreaming, sleeping, and even deep meditation. In the waking state, our brain waves are dominantly what are called beta waves. The frequency is about 12 to 30 hertz. These are the dominant waves during wakefulness, especially when we are focused and engaged in mental activity. Beta waves are associated with alertness, concentration, and problem solving. Then we have alpha waves, which are known to occur during daydreaming. These waves become prominent when we are relaxed and daydreaming. Alpha waves are also associated with creativity, intuition, and mental imagery. In deep sleep, these are the slowest brain waves, about 0.5 to 4 hertz. They are the slowest brain waves and are dominant and are dominant during deep sleep. Delta waves are occasionally associated with, not frequently associated with deep meditation, but they're also associated with unconsciousness, physical restoration, and memory consolidation. So those are delta waves, less than 4 hertz. Theta waves, which are between 4 and 8 hertz, are present in both deep sleep and deep meditation. Theta waves are associated with deep relaxation, introspection, heightened awareness. Okay, so that's what we know from the biology of sleep. But actually, if you look at a lot of spiritual traditions, especially Eastern wisdom traditions, Vedanta and Kashmir Shaivism, but just yogic traditions, then these are the things to consider. So first, there's non-local awareness without contents of experience. This refers to a state of awareness that transcends the limitations of our usual consciousness. In deep sleep, according to yoga and yogic experiences, my own experiences, by the way, I can reduce my brain waves to less than 4 just through pranayama. And it's a very wonderful technique that I'll share with you, but also in deep sleep, my brain waves go to less than 4 hertz, as should anyone's. So in deep sleep, we are not lost in thought or attached to sense perceptions, but remain aware in a more subtle, expansive way. This awareness isn't limited to any specific location or object, hence it could be considered non-local. Now, we know that in deep sleep, biologically and psychologically, there is restoration. Modern science confirms that deep sleep is crucial for physical and mental health. During this stage, the body repairs tissues, resets hormones, consolidates memory. Additionally, deep sleep can reduce stress, improve mood, enhance cognitive function, And yogic traditions recognize this restorative power of sleep and see it as actually a very important part of well-being. But in yogic traditions, there is also the idea that sleep and understanding sleep and experiencing the different phases of sleep can actually lead to enlightenment and spiritual growth. Because there's another concept in yoga, and that is called turiya. Turiya is transcendental consciousness, represents the fourth state of consciousness beyond waking, dreaming, and sleeping, and deep sleep even. It is often described as pure awareness, untouched by the activity of mind. Deep sleep, devoid of mental content, is seen as a preparation for this deeper level of awareness. And through regular practice, self-inquiry, yoga aims to access turiya not just in sleep, but also in waking life. I do a ritual every night where I practice recapitulation and have the intention for witnessing awareness in deep sleep and experiencing my bliss body. So let's examine this idea, which has engaged yogis and even philosophers for centuries. So, awareness in deep sleep. Is there awareness in sleep, deep sleep? And people, yogic traditions say, it's my own experience, that there's awareness of joy in deep sleep and awareness of the absence of experience. So in deep sleep, even in deep sleep, if you have a vivid dream or there's a noise, we wake up. That means there's some level of awareness, even in this seemingly unconscious state. The brain remains minimally active even during deeper sleep, processing sensory information, regulating vital functions, and the minimal activity provides a substrate for consciousness to be present, even if in a different form than our waking awareness. And in yogic traditions, we go even further, suggesting that this deep sleep and the awareness in deep sleep takes the form of the bliss body or the causal body or the soul body, a subtle realm beyond the mind and sense perceptions, but a realm nevertheless. Yogis equate this state to a pre-birth or post-death existence characterized by pure bliss and unity. So as we wake up from this, there's an experience of memory of joy, and there's a memory of bliss. Okay, so now that I've explained this is the way to address the conundrums and dilemmas of sleep. The brain doesn't induce sleep. The brain just responds to your states of consciousness. And your states of consciousness, in the yogic tradition, the waking state is a lucid dream in a vivid now with fluctuations of consciousness that are mirrored in the brain waves as 13 hertz plus. Okay, similarly, in daydreaming, in the dream state at night and deep sleep, the brain waves mirror the fluctuations of consciousness. Okay, and therefore, consciousness spontaneously goes through these phases. A waking state, which is lucid dream in the vivid now, dream state, different state, deep sleep, different state, daydreaming, different state, and so on. And then there's a period between waking and dreaming, and then waking and dreaming and sleeping early in the morning, hypnagogic or hypnopompic, I forget. And similarly at night, between, you're waking, then you go to dream, and then you slip into, waking, daydreaming, and then dream, and then sleep. All that happens spontaneously. So if we don't interfere, if there's no stress, then consciousness is going through all these stages for actually enhancing self-regulation during waking, dreaming, and sleeping. But because deep sleep is also the bliss body, it opens the door to higher states of consciousness, and ultimately liberation from suffering, because we recognize that every fluctuation of consciousness is a transient, momentary, time bound experience. And that includes the fluctuations of consciousness of the waking state, where we see physical forms and bodies and all of that. But once we understand that, then our home permanently becomes pure consciousness. That's our identity. And these rituals that I do personally, yoga nidra, I do other rituals, withdrawing from the senses, pratyahara, introspective awareness, introspection, reflective inquiry, intentionality, sankalpa, all before I go to sleep. So even in deep sleep, there is witnessing awareness, and that becomes the identity. And when that becomes the identity, and you're fully aware of your body mind in all the stages of sleep and during waking state, when you're fully aware of the witnessing awareness, then that becomes your home, permanent home. Irreducible, fundamental, non-changing, spaceless, timeless, infinite, and divine. That's how sleep opens the door to enlightenment. Please reflect on this, and if you want me to go further, I will, of course, with various techniques and so on.